Residential Sales Comparison and Income Approaches, Chapter 14, Income Multipliers, page 15, check your understanding. Quiz retake. Number 1, a property sold for $132,000. Its contract rent was $775 and its market rent was $850. What was the GRM, gross rent multiplier? A, 148.2, B, 155.3, C, 158.5, or D, 168.7? I'm going to go B, 155.3, even though my calculator says 155.29. Number 2, a ratio of 1 year's net operating income provided by an asset to the value of the asset used to convert income into value in the application of the income capitalization approach is the definition of A, gross income multiplier, B, capitalization rate, C, effective gross income multiplier, or D, recapture rate. I'm going to go B, capitalization rate. Number 3, when calculating a GRM, gross rent multiplier, appraiser should use blank rent. A, gross annual, B, gross monthly unfurnished, C, adjusted gross, or D, net monthly. I'm going to go gross monthly unfurnished rent. Assessment completed. You passed. You got 100%. Continue.
Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH14 income multipliers. PG16 rents. Notes. Leave a comment. Rents. Remember how, in an earlier chapter, we discussed various types of value? Well, there are also various kinds of rents. Let's take a look at some and compare them. Rent is defined as an amount paid for the use of land, improvements, or a capital good. Contract rent is defined as the actual rental income specified in a lease. Contract rent may or may not be the same as market rent. In developing a potential income to estimate market value, the contract rent would be used only if it is supported by comparable market rents. Scheduled rent is defined as the income due under existing leases. This may be also referred to as contract rent, as the definitions are very similar. It simply means there is more than one rent. End of page. Chapter start. 81%. 81%. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH14 income multipliers. PG17 rents. Notes. Leave a comment. Rents. Market rent is defined as the most probable rent that a property should bring in a competitive and open market reflecting the conditions and restrictions of a specified lease agreement, including the rental adjustment and revaluation, permitted uses, use restrictions, expense obligations, term, concessions, renewal and purchase options, and tenant improvements, TIs. It's a lot like market value. All the things that are inherent in the definition of market value apply to market rent. Market rent is what the property should bring in rent, which may or may not equal that for which it actually is rented now, contract rent. Note in the definition that the market rent is as of the date of the appraisal. Often in older leases the market has changed, and the contract rent does not equal the market rent as of the date of the appraisal. To properly develop a GRM approach, we need to analyze the local rental market to arrive at a supportable opinion of the market rent of the subject property. We need to look to comparable rentals. We choose comparable rentals in much the same fashion as we choose comparable sales. They should be as similar as possible in physical characteristics, size, quality, condition, room count, etc. They should also be subject to the same locational and economic forces. Also, they should have been rented as recently as possible. End of page. Chapter start. 81%.
Facilities, vending machines, appliance rentals, etc. Second, rent is normally stated on a monthly basis. For example, $12